Our next guest is an Army Ranger veteran who has called out the military for investing in DEI programs and prioritizing critical race theory and drag shows over recruiting our next generation to protect this country. He is the director of the Claremont Institute's American Military Project, Will Thibeau. Will, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chanel.
You published an op-ed today about this very interesting problem. It's titled "The Crisis in the Armed Forces." In the piece, you claim the exact reason of decline in military recruitment is linked to this prioritization of woke DEI, gender ideology, over quality of recruitment. Why has DoD made this shift, and what do you think is happening under this administration with these measures in place?
An essential point I make is this started a long time ago, well before it was on the radar of people like you and me. In 1965, the Secretary of Defense at the time, Robert McNamara, said that the military would be the leading edge of the civil rights movement, meaning the military would ensure that the ranks were proportionally representational by race to the rest of the country. And the sad fact is, he wanted that to be true regardless of the standards the military would have to violate in order to ensure that the military looked a certain way, Black people, white people, Hispanics, as opposed to the military being able to function and fight a certain way. And so I don't necessarily think this is a crisis of public relations or the public perception of the military. This is 50 years of military policy having its intended effect: to hire fewer white soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and to ensure that the ranks are racially diverse without any consideration for merit and professionalism. And that's a problem. And I think we're running into the issue where we can't ignore the effects of that anymore.
No, certainly not. But what's remarkable to me is you think that the DoD should be this very non-political, separate entity whose sole job is to kill the bad guys and protect Americans, right? But it seems that the DoD is now pushing their own agenda, independent of whoever's in the White House, independent of the wishes of the American people. So who's actually driving this agenda? If you're saying this goes way back, where is it coming from?
You make an essential point, Chanel. This is not necessarily or not only a problem of the political appointees of the Biden administration, although they've made it much worse, and we need to roll things back if there's another Trump administration in January. This is the DoD responding to Secretary McNamara's imperative to imbibe the cultural and policy imperatives of the Civil Rights Act. And so leaders in the military have been formed in the imperative that if there is a discrepancy, there must be discrimination and injustice. This imperative, this essential understanding of diversity, equity, inclusion, critical race theory, this is part of the military ethos now. And policies have been on the books for a long time, like I've said, that I think make this part of the conscience of individuals and the collective organization of the Department of Defense. We say diversity is our strength. We say that we should have more diverse infantry platoons or submarine crews, but there's not actually any evidence that those diverse units are any more combat effective than units that are less racially diverse. What we need to return to is the policy of President Harry Truman. Harry Truman integrated the armed forces in 1948, but he did something pretty radical for our day and age, at least, is he removed race as a category from Army personnel files. You can't even walk into a kindergarten classroom these days without being asked your race. But for President Truman, he removed that as a consideration from the Army writ large.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.